Hey friends, it is already mid-October. That's a lie. It is already mid-September. October is just around the corner, and art challenges are coming with that. So there's a lot of controversy around Inktober, and if you're not going to do that particular list, there are a ton of other art challenges going on. So hopefully you'll get to participate in one that you feel good about and share your wonderful work. And this week I wanted to actually look at the Pentel Arts Sign Brush Pen set. This is a 4-pen set. I've never tried these in particular. I do like some Pentel brushes. I have mentioned it many times before. The Pentel brush pen, pocket brush pen, is one of my favorite inking tools. So I thought we would give these a shot. They look like kind of brush tip or felt tip type pens. I know nothing about them yet. So we'll go ahead and see how these work and what we think about them. So here we have the Pentel Arts Sign Pen. This is the 4-pack. So the first pen is going to be this one here on the left. That's the Porous Point Pigment Ink. And the next one is Porous Point Water-Based Dye Ink. That one says it's good for general writing, drawing, doodling, and adding character to signatures. I should say that these are all, excluding this one, the felt tip style. So it would be really good for writing in Japanese, brush calligraphy, but I'm probably going to use them for sketching. The next one is the flexible brush tip water-based dye ink, and it says the tip can be diluted with water to get a full range of values, so I'm very curious about that one. But the one that appeals to me most is probably this guy. This is the Brush Sign Pen. It's a micro brush tip pen. Looks really fine tip, and you all already know probably that I super love the pocket brush pen by Pentel. So I wanted to see how these compare. This does not come in the set. Get some paper so you can see the point difference. Okay, so we'll see how these are in practice. I am using some kind of watercolor paper that I've cut down to ATC size. I'm not really sure what it is because I cut these a long time ago, but if I had to bet on it, I would put a small amount of money on them being the Canson XL cold pressed 90 weight paper. And this first pen is the Porous Point Pigment Ink, the ST150. Now this pen is permanent pigment ink. It's supposed to be acid-free, fade, and water-resistant. The drawing experience, if you've ever drawn with a felt tip pen, it is pretty typical. In my experience, I've had kind of a hard time getting a wide range of line widths with them, but you can get some depending on how hard you're pressing down. I've also found that when I get a little bit too aggressive with them, I tend to fray these tips quite bad. It's a little hard to tell at the moment, but this particular pen has a little bit of a warmer tone black, and you can really see that later when I try diluting it a little bit. Okay, so our next one is the Porous Point Water-Based Dye Ink, the S520. It's perfect for general writing, drawing, doodling, and adding character to any signature, as said on the back of the package. The drawing experience feels almost exactly the same. The tip is the same style felt tip. Yeah, it's just fine. It's not something I would use if I was trying to get very precise, detailed image, but as it stands, it's not bad. It's good for notebooks, sketchbooks, or depending on your style, if you like a little bit more natural looking, this is a good one. So I went back in with a water brush on the previous one, the ST150, just to see how really water resistant it was, and it didn't have a long time to dry, so I was able to get a little bit of it to dilute. Not much, you can barely even see it. But with this S520, that one is supposed to be a little bit more well, it's a water-based dye ink, so definitely can water it out a little bit and get a lot of shadows using that. And our third brush is going to be the flexible brush tip water-based dye ink, the SES15. This one says the tip can be diluted with water to get a full range of values. So I have a little jar of water here that I dipped it in, and it does actually work. You'll only have those light values kind of briefly as the regular ink starts to seep back into the tip. It's a little bit water soluble, not as much as the previous one, the S520. And that tip is actually very flexible. If you've ever used a Tombow pen, it feels very much the same. Now this last one is the brush that I was kind of hype about, the micro brush tip water-based dye ink pen. That is the SESF30C. It's a lot of letters there. The package says the precision bristles have excellent spring and snap, allowing for a stable light control. It is similar to the Pentel pocket brush, but this one is a water-based ink, so it is kind of water soluble. So using my water brush pen, I'm able to go in and get some more variety in values, some shading. Dilutes pretty easily. It's kind of fun to play with. Alright, I'm going to go in and just do a little bit more details and push some of those values a little bit and play with that dippable tip. I really do like the way that flexible tip feels. For me, it's a lot more fun and just feels better to use than the stiff felt brush pens. This one dilutes moderately well after the fact. And if you have the pack, you could absolutely mix these pens, but I just wanted to highlight one pen per card to really get a feel for how it works. So there's the 4, and let me mark them all before I forget which is which. I think I personally am leaning to favoring the two that dilute a little bit easier. That's going to be the S520 and the SESF30C, so the micro brush pen, and the felt tip water-based dye ink, the not so flexible one. The flexible one is your dippable tip. Although I like the way that flexible one feels just drawing, it doesn't dilute as well as the other two. And that may or may not matter to you. Actually, in most cases, that doesn't matter to me because I usually opt for precision pens for outlining that do not reactivate in any way once they're dry. I think it's a fun set. If you like felt tip pens, I think this is an excellent set to try. Really neat though that it has the variety of blendability or just permanent ink. Although the tones are a little bit different, I think you can totally mix all 4 of these together. The set should be pretty easy to find. I found it at Michael's and it is on Amazon, so you shouldn't have a hard time finding these. And if you like any of them in particular, I'm pretty sure you can buy the pens individually as well. I saw at least some of them in stock when I purchased these at Michael's. I look forward to doing more sketchbook work with these, and if you want to see those, make sure you check out my Instagram page. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was of moderate help to you. It is always fun trying new supplies, and these were relatively inexpensive, so if you want to do inking for any of those art challenges, they're a great set to try.